Welcome back to another year of Bobcat Breakdown presented by Q30 Television. 2013 inaugural year of the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference for Quinnipiac University provided new faces, teams, and playing styles. The second year brings even more challenges than the first. Have the fall teams picked up where they left off last year, or are some finding out that a sophomore slump may be in the cards? Find out right here on Bobcat Breakdown after the break. Disappointing 5-26 season, the women's volleyball team believes they can compete for a MAAC championship this season. Head coach Christopher Zaplinski followed up a talented 2013 recruiting class with another stellar group of freshmen. Not only did he bring in Cheyenne Orsi, the tallest Bobcat in school history who stands at 6'5", he also picked up his first ever recruit from California in setter Sierra Dawson. Elizabeth Cluse hails from the Hoosier State, where current sophomores Katie Erke and Emma Ogden are from. Nicole Malillo and Jamie Termato add depth and experience to a young core. 11 of the 15 Bobcats are underclassmen. This past weekend, the team traveled down to Hempstead, New York to participate in the Hofstra Invitational. In Game 1, the Bobcats found themselves down 2-0 against Lafayette, but rallied to win sets 3 and 4 to force a decisive fifth set. Down 6-3 in the fifth, the Bobcats won 5 straight points to take an 8-6 lead and never looked back. It was the first win for Quinnipiac in a season opener since joining the Division I ranks in 1998. The Bobcats lost their final 2 games of the tournament 3-0 against Hofstra and St. Francis College of Brooklyn. Dylan, what were your impressions on the weekend?
Well, I saw a lot of things more. I saw flashes of great volleyball from this Quinnipiac team, but I also saw a mediocre performance against St. Francis. You talk about the resilience that this team showed against Lafayette, down 2-0, coming back to win 3-2. And you would think they would carry that momentum into Saturday against Hofstra and St. Francis, and it just wasn't there. They were completely flat. Now, yes, Hofstra, a great volleyball team. 11-3 at home last year, only dropped 7 sets in those wins at home last year. Clearly, I wasn't surprised at all that Quinnipiac dropped that 3-0. But then, a mediocre performance against St. Francis. You talk about this team was 7-25 last year, and you lose 3-0, please. Absolutely ridiculous. They should have at least gotten a set or 2, if not the victory. Connor, I don't know about you, but 1-2 is certainly far worse than 2-1.
Absolutely. I mean, you're a little harsh, I think, there, Dylan. This is a team, this is a program that's struggled since they've come here at Quinnipiac, and I think against that game against Lafayette is kind of a glimpse of what we can see of this team. Morey, you mentioned how young this team is, but they have really, really good young talent. Emma Ogden, Allison Lee, obviously 2 huge key players for this young team, and they started the process last year, and now they have another year with like more chemistry, and they're all together a lot more. So I think that could show glimpses of what we saw in that Lafayette game, Tom.
Yeah, but you're bringing in some new people, as Morey touched on earlier, that have never played with the team. And obviously, in this first week for the tournament, you're going to have those timing issues and other issues, obviously, having not played together for that long, not getting enough practices. But to come back in their first game against Lafayette from down 2-0 and then winning the next 3 sets, that obviously, and Dylan even hit it on the head in terms of greatness that we see out of this team. But when you just go out completely flat in the next 2 games, not winning a single set, losing 6 sets in a row, and to lose the next 2 matches, obviously the team needs to have a lot more together. But when you face 2 decent teams, especially in Hofstra, as Dylan touched upon earlier with the record, but definitely the greatness was not there in the second day of the tournament.
I don't think I was out of line, Connor, because you talk about the St. Francis team was 7-25, and Quinnipiac owned that team when Quinnipiac was in the NEC a few years ago.
St. Francis of College of Brooklyn, they were 7-25. This was also game 2 of the same day in which they played Hofstra in the morning, where they tired.
And Dylan, we've also
yes,
seen
they
this.
were. They're mentally.
Jeez.
Yes, I'll give you that. They're mentally drained. But at the same time, you don't win a set against a team that you have owned before and only had 7 wins last year. Please.
Yeah, but
11
Dylan,
of
you
the
gotta more. This is my time to talk now. Dylan, we've seen this team put together good strings of games, just like last season. They won around 2 in a row, I think it was, and then they lost against St. Petersburg, which is one of the worst teams in the MAAC besides the Bobcats. So we've seen this team kind of play down to their opponents, the few opponents they can play down to. So I wasn't surprised at all that they threw a goose egg up like that. I think you need to look more, in fact, that Lafayette is a good heart win for this team, especially a young team like this, where we harped on chemistry. They were all together last year. They're going to be all together this year with new freshmen. Coach Nick Saplinski got to be together a lot more with these girls. And with the talent they have, I think you should be harping more on Lafayette.
You weren't surprised they lost 3-0 to St. Francis? Is that what you're saying?
They put a goose egg up against St. Petersburg last year, too, after winning 2 in a row. St. Petersburg,
But
like I
I'm
said.
just trying to figure out. So you weren't surprised? You weren't surprised at all?
I'm surprised they even won a game this week.
I think
to
if
be
you
totally
win
honest
3
with you.
sets against Lafayette, you're down 2-0. I expect that same team to come back the next day and win at least a set against St. Francis.
But like I said, this team has trends of playing down to their opponents, so I'm not surprised they were able
Connor,
to put
you
a good win like that against Lafayette and then stink it up against St. Francis.
Connor, you make a great point. We have to move on to question 2 here. I love the energy so far. Coach Saplinski is 7-49 in his first 2 seasons at the helm. Dylan, is he good enough to coach this team and bring them to the top of the MAAC?
No, he's not. He's a great recruiter. As we've seen, he brought in a great class last year, maybe even a better one this year with Cheyenne Orsi. But in terms of coaching, no. He's 7-49 heading into this year. Now he's 1-2. You're 8-51 as a head coach in a Division I program. No, I don't think he is. But you're not going to end up firing this guy because what a great recruiter he is. But in terms of his record and how he's been coaching, I don't think so.
Tom, the upperclassmen on this team were recruited by a program who, for a couple years straight, had 1 win. So once these juniors and seniors leave and he gets some more talented freshmen and recruiting classes that come in, do you think that the volleyball team should keep him for the next couple years?
Well, obviously they should in the case because each of the classes at that time would have been recruited by Coach Saplinski. And these 2 recruiting classes, Connor, what he has done the previous 2 seasons has been building blocks in order to try to make a successful season. Completely agree with Dylan. Is he a good coach right now? Absolutely not. Obviously, the record does show it. But when you throw in the good recruiting that he's brought in, he is trying to rebuild this team back from a time when this team really had nothing to any of its competitors. And earlier when we talked about winning 2 in a row last year, you do see a good sign right there, but 2 wins in a row is not a lot, obviously, and you need to try to win consecutive games on a daily basis. And in order to do that, you need to start to get that overall record to around 500, especially this year. Obviously, it's a long stretch for Quinnipiac to do it this year, but with all the talent that Coach Saplinski has brought in this year, it could be possible because despite not having the best record, he has still done a lot of things to help out this team.
I mean, I'll be quick here, Tom, but I think you give him 2 years at the most because if you give him that 4 years of recruiting and see how he does with that core group of 4 years of all of his recruits, he could do something special. We already talked about how good of a recruiter he is. And then once he gives an opportunity to actual coach, not worrying about what his future is, once he's given that 1 year where he can coach, that's what we'll see if he's able to coach a team like this.
Yeah, at the end of the day, they have 28 wins in the last 8 years as a volleyball program.
Guys, last year they were 3-15 in their first year in the MAAC. That was their best conference record since 2010. This year they were picked to finish 8th. Final question for volleyball. Which sophomore, in your opinion, do you think has the most potential? Connor, we'll start with you.
Jamie Palucci, I think she's such a powerful outside hitter, and she can hit her spots if she wants to. You have someone like Emma Ogden setting up, and a lot of teams are going to put focus on Allison Lee, who can just literally just put her hands right over the net, and she makes it look so easy because of how tall she is. But Emma Ogden's pretty powerful, and I think Jamie Palucci's pretty powerful, but working with Ogden, she could do something special this year.
Jamie Palucci is powerful, but you just touched on my name that I'm going for, and that's Allison Lee. Unlike many of the players on this volleyball team, you're looking at someone right here that can play hard on both sides of the ball, both offensively and defensively. She led the team last year in kills with about 216 kills, even leading one of the MAAC leaders in blocks on the defensive end with just around 135 blocks. So she can do it on both sides of the net, and she's proven that she's definitely one of those sophomore leaders and upcoming leaders that was recruited by Coach Saplinski to help the team move forward in years to come.
Tom, the question was which sophomore's going to have a breakout year. You just touched on all of Allison Lee's great accolades, she's not going to have a breakout year. She was the MAAC Freshman of the Year. You can't have a breakout year. Katie Yerke's going to have a breakout year for this team. She was one of the bright spots over the weekend along with senior Tanner Celestin. Yerke leads the team in kills, assists, and points per set. It's got to be Yerke.
So we have Palucci, Lee, Yerke. No mention of Emma Ogden, who was the Q30 Sports Rookie of the Year last year, gentlemen. Thank you for your volleyball conversations, and we'll be right back here on the Bobcat Breakdown.
I could really go for a Ray and Mike sub right now.
Come to Ray and Mike's and try our Philly chicken with cheese for just over $4, giant cheesesteak subs, and mouth-watering boar's head sandwiches for as low as $4.75. Q-Cash accepted just a mile down the road on Whitney, here at Ray and Mike's.
Wake up, Quinnipiac! It's the morning after! Hey! Come on, guys, it's time for TMA! Let's go! What's the morning after? Mondays at 10, only on Q30!
2013 was a record-breaking year for the Quinnipiac University field hockey program. They recorded the most wins, assists, and points in school history. Becca Maine's team consisted of the co-MAAC Player of the Year Jess Rusin, who was the all-time leader in goals and points in a single season, as well as 7 All-MAAC selections. You would think that 2014 would be a rebuilding year for the Bobcats, but with a strong recruiting class, a handful of returners, and the 2013 MAAC Co-Goalkeeper of the Year Megan Conaboy, Bobcats are primed to stay in the penthouse of the conference all year. Picked to win the MAAC again, Quinnipiac has faced some of the toughest teams in the country thus far. The Bobcats gave defending national champion UConn all they could handle in a 2-1 exhibition loss, and after a 0-0 halftime score, yielded a few goals to number 13 Boston College in a close loss. On Sunday, senior captain Danielle Allen tallied her second goal of the game to give the Bobcats a 2-0 lead with 15 minutes remaining. A Lafayette goal with 4 minutes cut the Quinnipiac lead in half. And then with no time left, Rosie Shanks put one past Conaboy for the equalizer. The Leopards would go on to score the game-winning goal in overtime. Tom, we're going to start with you for this question. How will this loss affect the Bobcats down the road?
It's a building block, Morey. Obviously, being in the first tournament, you're not going to really know how to play cohesively as a unit in your first tournament as a team, especially when you have 10 of your 21 players on this roster are freshmen. Obviously, Becca Main, great recruiting class she brought in this year to replace some of those big-time goal scorers like Jess Rusin and Jen Elise Taylor, who have left for graduation this past year. And the way this came out, they had the lead all the way until about 5 minutes left in the regulation, where they gave up 2 straight goals, sending it to overtime, and then losing it 3-2, as Morey touched on in overtime. Obviously, you have many positives. Danielle Allen starting the season off strong with 2 goals in that game, and she's been that big offensive leader, and she's going to have to do that again this year with those other pieces now gone on the team. And so this is a big building block for the team, and you can only go forward because these teams that they face in the tournament were really high-level teams.
Connor, what about you?
I mean, I'm going to go the exact opposite with you there, Tom. This is a team that kind of lost against BC. They just got beaten down the whole game. It was like you said, more they're going to the half tied at 0, but it was just BC slowly just wearing them down. They conceded those last couple goals. And then you go up against a team like Lafayette, where you know you have a chance. Lafayette, a really competitive team, they beat BC on Saturday, the day before they faced the Bobcats. But the Bobcats, they seem to have control of that whole game, and it just slipped out of their fingers at the last second. And going through a couple of losses like that before, where they really haven't put a string of losses like that in a while, it's pretty much a crushing blow for them, especially when you have that lead and you let up the game-winning goal with 0 time left on the clock.
Dylan?
I don't think it's that big of a deal, Morey. I mean, at the end of the day, you want them playing their best field hockey in the conference showdowns. It's not a huge deal to me or to the players if you lose to Lafayette or you lose in an exhibition to UConn. At the end of the day, I'd rather have them play their best field hockey in the conference showdown. It does not affect them at all down the road.
Got a second question. Connor, we're going to start with you. Aside from Meg Conaboy, who is the one player that you see will step up and become a leader of this team?
Well, I'm going to go defense. I'm going to go Leah Dietrich. You saw last year the defense was kind of holding pat with Megan Osanchus, who's still a senior now. putting that right in the center. But Lee Dietrich, she was a highly touted freshman recruit from Germany last year. We saw her. She started almost every game, so the coaching staff had plenty of trust in her, but she was kind of reserved a little bit. And you could tell that she was just kind of taken back just a little bit by her role in the team. And through the first couple of games, they're letting her really push the ball up the field, and she's kind of being a catalyst for Danielle Allen. We know Danielle Allen is really, really good talent and can score whenever she wants to, but she needs a facilitator, and I think Lee Dietrich could be that for this year.
Yeah, I'm going to stay along the defensive end as well and go with Megan Osanic. This is someone who, in her early year last year, was really starting to really learn the pace of the game on defense, help Megan Conboy, and be that really defensive leader in the backfield. This is her time to shine this year and really be that defensive spark, because they lost a lot of players last year, including several people on defense, and she's the one person who can be that glue to help the defense really structure in order to help Megan Conboy. Because one thing that Megan Conboy was really upset with herself about last year was whenever the defense and other players were in her way and were blocking her, she really had a hard time to make those saves in the cage. And with Megan Osanic being there, it's going to help those defensive leaders get back and help Megan Conboy have an even better season this year.
We're looking for a leader, so how about a senior and how about a captain? I'm going with Danielle Allen. It's no question. You talk about the top 5 scorers from last year's team. 4 of them graduated, and the other one is Danielle Allen, who had 9 goals last year as a junior. She's a great leader. She's already established herself as a leader. And if we're going for someone like that, aside from Meg Conboy, it's got to be Danielle Allen. No question.
All the answers are great, guys. And when we come back, I'm going to sit down with freshman Dayne Barlow of the field hockey team.
The Bobcat Shop, located at 1010 Sherman Avenue in Hamden. Your #1 choice for Bobcat merchandise. The Bobcat Shop features 2 floors of countless styles and colors. With a full 19,000 square foot screen printing and embroidery operation on the premises, Campus Customs and Simplify can design and decorate any garment or promotional product as quickly as needed. Stop in and say hi.
Wake up, Quinnipiac! It's the morning after. Hey! Come on, guys! It's time for TMA. Let's go. What's the morning after? Mondays at 10, only on Q30.
Welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown. I'm Morey Hershgordon. I'm sitting alongside Dayne Barlow, a freshman midfielder of the Quinnipiac women's field hockey team. Dayne, you're from Port Elizabeth, South Africa. Explain a little transition coming to the United States.
It's been very different coming to the United States, as I've never been here before, but it's been a great change. I've been able to adapt well to my surroundings. Basic things that are different. We drive on the other side of the road. It's just very different, but I love it here and I'm happy.
When did you kind of want to pursue that American education and come to America for college and get away from your friends back home?
It's always been a dream since I started high school, basically, to come to America and study and play field hockey. And the whole recruiting process started about 2 years ago, and then I was committed, so I was very happy.
How did Coach Becca Main find you and come in contact with you?
There's a website where you post videos and you make your own profile, and then coaches from different universities will look at you, and if they like what they see, they email you, and you get into contact with them via Skype. So
you're 1 week into classes. What's been your favorite class so far here at Quinnipiac?
I think my favorite class would be biology. It interests me a lot.
Biology, that's interesting. Who's inspired you to play field hockey at a young age?
In high school, I had my captain. She's always been my role model for hockey. She is just brilliant, and I always strive to be like her.
And you still stay in contact with her?
Yes.
And you've played UConn in an exhibition game. They won the national championship last year. You played Boston College. They're a top 15 team in the country. You're going to play Penn State soon. What's been your take on American field hockey? Has it been different? What's the speed of the game? Kind of what's your take on it so far?
American hockey is very competitive and physical. I've learned that. Back home, it's not as competitive, but it is physical. But I got a big wake-up call when I came here, and it's been very exciting to play in such a competitive team.
Now, you talk about the physicality. You're only 5'2". How do you use your body to position yourselves against opponents that are 5'8", 5'9"?
Because I'm very short, so I'm close to the ground, so I just use that to my advantage.
The field hockey team is fresh off a MAAC championship. You're now 0-2. a tough loss to Lafayette yesterday in which you give up 2 goals in the final 4 minutes, one with no time remaining. What's been the feel around the locker room after the game?
We're very determined to come back. We're going to work very hard this week so that we can do a great performance against Penn State on the weekend.
What do you feel you bring the most to Quinnipiac? What are your strengths on the field?
I think I bring a different type of hockey coming from South Africa, and they can get to learn about how we play, and yeah, it's quite nice.
Friends and family been able to follow you on Twitter, the games over the internet?
Yeah. Yes, they had friends yesterday watching my game, live streaming it.
Oh, awesome. Have you been to New York City yet? You've been around town?
Yeah, I have actually been. When I came to America, I spent a week in New York City, and I did all the tourist attractions. I went to Empire State Building, all those types of things.
So what was your favorite part?
Oh, my favorite part would probably be Empire State Building, because we went up there at night to the top floor.
Tell me you got a big slice of pizza in New York City.
I did, but I wasn't a fan of the pizza yet.
Gotcha. All right, well, thank you for joining us today. And you can check out Dana and the rest of her team next Sunday here at the Quinnipiac University Turf Field as they will take on head coach Becca Main's alma mater in Penn State. We'll be right back.
The Bobcat Shop, located at 1010 Sherman Avenue in Hamden. Your #1 choice for Bobcat merchandise. The Bobcat Shop features 2 floors of countless styles and colors. With a full 19,000 square foot screen printing and embroidery operation on the premises, Campus Customs and Simplify can design and decorate any garment or promotional product as quickly as needed. Stop in and say hi.
I could really go for a Ray and Mike sub right now.
Come to Ray and Mike's and try our Philly chicken with cheese for just over $4, giant cheesesteak subs, and mouth-watering boar's head sandwiches for as low as $4.75. Q-Cash accepted just a mile down the road on Whitney, here at Ray and Mike's.
Close games has been a regularity for the women's soccer team over the past few weeks. In an exhibition game, the Bobcats fell to Holy Cross 2-1, then traveled to Maine to lose 1-0 late in the game. So what would it take for Dave Clark's squad to shake things up? A team trip to California? Some West Coast soccer? Beautiful weather? Well, the Bobcats picked up where they left off. The University of the Pacific stung the Bobcats with a goal in the final 3 minutes to win 1-0 in the first game of the road trip. In the Bobcats' final game, Quinnipiac and UC Davis were scoreless at the end of regulation. 2 minutes into the first overtime period, the Aggies put one in the back of the net to win 1-0. Tom, why can't these Bobcats catch a break?
The reason why they can't catch a break is just because their offense is not present at all. This is a team that has been built more defensively. They don't have those playmakers, and especially don't have the finishers, Connor. This is a team that has been built on defense, and these first 3 games that we've seen this season, it was 0-0 until the last 5 minutes of the game. And what happened in the last 5 minutes? Twice, the opposition, scored in the final 5 minutes. The other time, the game went to overtime, and they lost 1-0 in overtime. All 3 games, they lost 1-0. There was absolutely no playmaker in any of those games and no finisher. They did not have that person who could attack quickly and get the ball downfield to get those scoring opportunities. It was just not present at all.
Connor, who's that playmaker that Tom needs?
I think it's going to be Kat Young. She's kind of floats between a back and a midfield, but Kat Young is a really good facilitator, kind of like I talked with Leah Dietrichs on the field hockey team. The forwards have the ability, to put the ball in the back of the net, but they need a facilitator from behind there. And Kat Young, she was pretty good last year. She's a senior now. She's one of the leaders on this team, very big vocal leader. So people, her teammates really do trust her. And I think if she kind of stays in that midfield position and not in defensive position, she could really be the spark that those forwards need to put the ball in the back of the net.
Dylan, is it the formation? Is it someone else up top? Well, what is it?
It's so many things. This team is extremely frustrating to watch. They hold back all the time. They run crazy formations. They change everything up. They change the starting lineups. You need to stick with one thing. You need to attack early. They hold back. They don't play to win. They play not to lose. It's crazy. Jess Fontaine, you're a 2-time All-American in high school. Okay, you're a striker. You need to shoot the soccer ball and put it in the back of the net. It's insane. They only have 4 shots on goal in their first 3 games. It's ridiculous.
Dylan, you mentioned Fontaine. She led the team with 25 shots last year. She has 1 this whole season so far. We're going to go on to the next question. What are you looking forward to most in their upcoming game on Friday night against crosstown rival Yale? Connor, we'll start with you.
I'm going to see what they have to do to change what they did. I really liked what you mentioned there, Dylan, with changing the formations. I think if they want to play conservative, they shouldn't try all these crazy formations. I'll be interested on Friday when they play Yale if they just go with a very straight 4-4-2 formation where you can put Fontaine in one of those striker positions up top, and you can put someone like a Kat Young. She can be a defensive midfielder right there on the outside, but still facilitate towards Fontaine. So I'm going to be really interested if they try to switch that formation and go really basic. We saw how good the men's soccer team last year was when they didn't have a lot of scoring. Yes, they had an unbelievable finisher in Simon Hind, but they did the same thing last year. They kept their normal 4 backs and their good goaltending, to get through the way. And I think that's what the women's soccer team is trying to do right now, but they just need a little more time and a little more effort on the formation side, because if they do something simple like that, they could be good.
I'm interested in watching them score. I mean, they haven't scored in 540 minutes. They have not put the ball in the back of the net since October 23rd of last year. They need to start scoring. For the first 15 minutes against Yale, you need to press and you need to attack. Instead of going with the 4-1-2-1-2, whatever formations they're going with, you need to go with a 3-4-3. You need to have 5 or 6 ladies attacking and pressing. First 15 minutes, get the momentum, get some motivation. Once they score once, it'll be much easier.
But Dylan, they're not that type of team to go attacking and pressing. I mean,
right, and it's not and what they're doing isn't working.
So they should play. They should play into their strength, which is defense, and just go with a simple formation like a 4-4-2. We've seen, them put a forward up top sometimes. What they do with Fontaine. But I think if you're consolidating one player up top, that's just not how I believe that should be. With a good team defensively like they have, they need someone just straight up with a flat back 4 in the back. I think that could be really, really helpful for this team.
But gentlemen, if you look at last year's men's soccer team, they started off the season struggling. They went to Yale. They won 1-0. Then in the next 10 games, they went 7-1-2. Maybe that will jumpstart this team.
You need to look at the formations, obviously, as you both have just touched on. But Connor, the defense, we saw in the first 3 games that the defense is there. So you really don't need to worry about the defense. You need to worry about the scoring. And as we touch on, we need to see this team go forward and attack. They don't have the playmakers, as I've already touched on. They need those finishers. They have not been able to finish. But a different thing that I'm actually looking forward to in this matchup is actually you're having these 2 coaches come together in Rudy Meredith for Yale and, of course, Dave Clark for Quinnipiac. The years that these 2 men have coached, 16 years for Dave Clark, 20 for Meredith, they have a lot of wins on their resume. These 2 programs are coming together for the first time in a while, and they need to focus as both units. This Yale team, coming into their first game this year, they have not. They've been more of an offensive team. Quinnipiac, as we talked about, has been more of a defensive team. But when you need to go forward as an offense for Quinnipiac, they need to fix those formations, as you've already touched on. But you also need to make sure that you're putting the right feet forward and get those plays to attack on the net, because that's just not what they're doing right now.
Tom, that's a great point. Last question, really fast. I don't really do predictions that much, but this team was 3-3-4 in the MAAC last year. With not a lot of offense, is this team going to be better than 3-3-4 or worse, or right at about that mark?
Well, the way they're playing, they're going to be worse. Okay? If you're not scoring, you're not going to win. I don't care how many ties you have. You're not going to win any soccer games. They're going to go about 3. I'll give them the same exact record, the same exact thing.
Connor?
I think they'll do a little bit better. I think last year was their first season in the MAAC, and if they do what we touched upon tonight, play into the strengths as a defensive team, that's exactly what they need to do. They're gonna have opportunities, and if they just make sure they capitalize on those opportunities, which I know Coach Clark will harp on in practice, I think they could be a little bit better in the MAAC this year.
If we see this team attack more against Yale, and these players that we've touched on start to step up their offensive game, then we're going to see a better record for this team. If they don't get it done in the first couple of weeks, then it's going to be around the same exact.
Yeah, but Tom, how are they going to start attacking more against Yale? What are they going to have to do really to spur that on?
You have to have 2 or 3 strikers up front instead of a 4-5-1 or whatever you're doing. You just have multiple people attacking.
Guys, only time will tell it. Friday night, 7:30. Go to Yale. Watch the game yourself. Hopefully everyone else can go there as well. It looks like we are out of time, though. Thanks for coming on the show tonight. For more information about Quinnipiac Athletics, follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook at Q30 Sports. Also, check out our website at q30television.com. For Dylan Fearon, Connor Fortier, and Tom Albanese, I'm Morey Hershgordon. Good night, everyone.